Well, on the evening of July 2nd, 1947, several witnesses in Roswell, New Mexico, claimed they saw a mysterious object crash to the ground at a ranch. The US Air Force quickly collected the debris, said it was from a weather balloon, and the case was closed. However, 30 years later, a nuclear physicist came out insisting the government was covering up what was actually an alien spacecraft. Thousands jumped on the bandwagon, giving birth to America's first UFO conspiracy, as well as inspiration for some of Hollywood's biggest blockbusters. Don Schmidt is the world's leading investigator on Roswell, and he joins us in the studio now. Don, thank you so much for joining the latest.
It's wonderful being here this evening. Thank you.
Now, you began your investigation, if I'm right, as a skeptic?
Yes,
What made you change your mind?
Well, I was working with the late Dr. Jalen Hynek, who was consultant to the Air Force Project Blue Book. And when he started the Center for UFO Studies in Chicago, I was one of his investigators. And the one case I wanted to go after was Roswell. I wanted to prove that it was nothing more than a weather balloon device. And it was talking to the first-hand witnesses about the wreckage and its unusual characteristics, that, as they would describe it, that it truly, seemed to be something extraordinary. Yeah. And then as you talk from witness to witness, and you're essentially investigating a crime minus a crime, and I quickly had to realize I was wrong.
You spoke to about 600 witnesses, didn't you?
Yes.
And then you slowly formed this opinion that changed your own mind.
Well, actually, the opinion changed rather quickly, because that's when most of the first-hand witnesses were still with us. And whether it was the children of the time or their parents or high-ranking officers within the military, I quickly saw that they all behaved the same way, as though they were responding to an extraordinary event. And that also convinced me that no matter what the background, from a child to a four-star general, they all behave the same.
There's a consistency in their story.
Totally.
What do you believe then that the Air Force found on that ranch in 1947?
They found something that then they put out that press release on Tuesday, July 8th, where they actually announced that they had captured the real thing. They announced to the world they had captured a flying saucer. 5 hours later, Washington intervenes and goes, "No, you didn't." Now, it didn't matter that the people involved were the first atomic bomb squadron in the world. They were in charge of the atomic bomb. And yet, the most highly trained elite unit within the military at that time. But it didn't matter. They mistakenly misidentified a balloon. And then, at the time that all of those people who were involved were reaching their older years, and one by one, they started to confess, no. The first press release was the correct one. It was something not made here. And that's what made it become all the more exciting, because it was like we were on the trail of the biggest story of the millennium, and also realizing we were racing with the Undertaker because of their generation, the greatest generation as they've been labeled, and they're just about all gone now.
1947, different times, Cold War era.
Yes.
Why would the government cover it up at the time?
At the time, I believe they were more concerned about the Cold War, that if it was a technology that they could reverse engineer, that we would acquire it before the Soviets would. And given it happened in New Mexico where the first atomic bomb was detonated, there were more Soviet spies in New Mexico than anywhere else in the world at that time. They were breathing down their backs, and they knew it.
A lot of skepticism for many, many decades, but only recently, in fact, we've had the US Navy confirm some UFO videos posted online, and pilots telling credible stories of seeing things.
And I've talked to some of them,
Yeah, so tell me about that. I mean, tell me about that first, and then I'm interested to know if you think the government still hides a UFO file.
Well, we know they do, for the fact that we could have former Presidents Carter and Clinton, the late Senator Barry Goldwater, the late Congressman Stephen Schiff of New Mexico, the former governor of New Mexico, Bill Richardson. They could all be sitting here at the DS tonight, and they would all be lamenting the fact, couldn't get the truth about Roswell. No matter what we did, we could not get the truth about Roswell. So something is still being covered up. The fact that there are up to 4 official explanations regarding one incident. It's like, well, which one do all the witnesses endorse? Well, it's the first one. There are no witnesses to the subsequent explanations. And here, the Navy, I'd like to believe that they finally are getting tired of the Air Force calling the shots on all this. And if the Air Force truly has been deceiving and covering up. As Congressman Stephen Schiff said when he accused the Air Force of a massive ongoing cover-up, that the Navy is finally saying, well, we stand behind our pilots. They're seeing things that defy conventional explanation.
Because the Navy is, these videos that came out, these are high-flying,
yes,
at low-range objects that these pilots are saying, look, we saw something, and the Navy, if I'm right, is confirming.
Catch them. We couldn't catch them.
They were so fast.
They were so fast, and again, they defied the laws of physics. So we're either in trouble in that somebody else has beat us to the punch, so to speak, or there's going to be some grandiose announcement that we now have technology that is almost next to Star Wars, or there is something out there. And maybe the witnesses at Roswell were originally some of the first who encountered technology from another planet.
Don Schmidt, thanks for joining us.
I enjoyed this. Thank you so much for having me.